Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 236 of the Well Done Life podcast. And hello, welcome back to episode 236 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you're here this week. I hope that you will stay and bring friends for a very long time. And if you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for continuing to rock with me. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, so thank you. Before we get started, I always like to be foundational. It's really important to me that we set the tone for what this space is. And I really feel like this space that we've created, this safe space, is a house. And on our house, I want to make sure that our foundation is strong. So it's very important to me that we started off by talking about that. And so our foundation is built on two very important tenets, which are clarity and love. Clarity is really straightforward. I just like to make sure that you understand that I created the Well Done Life because I believe in the power of women. I believe in the power of us telling our stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and having an opportunity to just impart in each other, really celebrate each other or learn from each other. And I hope that by me sharing the good and bad of my stuff, that you'll learn from me, that you won't make the same mistakes as me, but that you'll also maybe be inspired to see that sometimes when things look a lot harder or difficult or bleaker than we probably really should give it credit for being, there is always hope. There is always a way through. And if I can make it through, believe me, you can make it through too. So welcome to a space where you are loved, where you are valued, where you are cared for and hopefully poured into, because I want to encourage you to share your story as well. Believe it or not, there is somebody who is watching you very closely and learning from you. So believe me, there is power in what you bring to the table. And we should celebrate that at all times, especially as women. And then that leads right into my second tenet, which is the main tenet. I kind of said it earlier. Love. I love love. I believe in love. It's the power of love for me that is very important to be shared in this space, because everything we do here will be rooted in it. And along that line, I like to make sure that I share prayers with you. It's very important to me to pray and share my prayers with you, because I'm believing that I am not the only person out here praying for these things. And I truly believe in the power of prayer. So that is why we are here sharing in this particular moment and magnifying hopefully something beautiful into the world. And so kind of leading into that, my first prayer for you, that I'm standing on, I'm going to stay standing on it, I think probably from now into a very long time, because I feel like we need it. I am just standing on the power of peace. I truly believe that it is very important for you to carve out moments, pockets, instances of peace for you in noisy situations. And I don't think noisy is going to go away. I think this might be the shift of our new normal. And so I hope that you are carving out a space for you to just have a moment to breathe, a moment to regulate your heart, your mind, your body. We need the strongest, most wonderful version of you. You need that. You deserve that. And sometimes the only way to get to that point is to take a breath, to stand still, and just to allow your body to be regulated. And so I am praying that you have peace. And the second prayer that I'm always going to pray along with peace is clarity. I think it's really important for you to see things as they are. I think it's very easy for us sometimes to see things how we want them to be, but we have to get to a point in our lives where we start to see things as they are. It is really, very critical, especially in seasons like this where there's so much going on, and it's hard sometimes to sort through the noise, that when you are giving yourself those moments of peace, that you dial into yourself, that you dial into your heart set, that you dial into your value set, that you dial in to God and give yourself the opportunity to ask for clarity. And clarity is not always the easiest thing to ask for, because sometimes we don't want to see what we know. But in most situations in life, I found that it is better to have clarity, whether good, whether bad, so that you can understand what's coming and how to move forward. So I am always going to pray that you have peace and clarity together. And then rounding out my prayers, because I'm going to keep it tight, is abundance. I like to stand on abundance. I talk a lot about it because it's not just necessarily about financial abundance. I'm always going to wish that for you because, I mean, hey, we all could use a little financial abundance. It's a little wild out here in the streets, but I'm also thinking about it from a spiritual standpoint. I just think it's very important to you to be abundant in your spirit because you have to create joy. Even in the instances where the world seems crazy, you have to be able to create joy in your life. And to have joy in your life is a beautiful thing. It is so important to be abundant in your spirit, to feel well in your spirit. That is going to carry you through the darkest of times. So please give yourself space for joy. Give yourself space for peace, clarity, and joy. They do go together. So those are my prayers for you this week. I am recording on Saturday, October the 11th, and it is 1:29 p.m. And I'm really excited about being here. I definitely want to thank everyone for all of their support for last week's episode, Bloom How You Must, where I talked a little bit about my journey of blooming and how I had an opportunity to be interviewed by Tara Pringle Jefferson, who is writing a wonderful book called Bloom How You Must, which is a collection or anthology, I guess I should say, of stories from Black women from ages 11, I believe, all the way up to 99, talking about how they bloomed and talking about the things that they overcome in their family. I mean, there's just so many different layers to our diaspora. And so I'm very excited to have had an opportunity to share my story with her. And I am looking forward to actually having her on the pod again because Tara previously was on the podcast before. She is also the founder of this wonderful suite for women, for Black women, the self-care suite, because it is very important that we pour into self-care. So I want to definitely have another conversation with her, especially as she is entering into this new phase. And her book is getting so much great notice by a lot of people in the wellness space, because I think it is very important to share stories of women, our women, owning their stories, owning how we bloom our journey, because I feel like sometimes we're always put into boxes of how we should bloom, but that box doesn't always suit you. And I know for myself, when I was telling her my story, I had just turned 50, and for the first time in my life, I was making the decision to choose me, to bet on me. And I am 2 years post that conversation, and to say my life has changed for the better is an understatement. It's not perfect, but it's so worth it. And I am so grateful for the journey, and I'm so grateful for having the opportunity to share my story with her. And I do want to add in an addendum because I found it out afterwards, but that I do want to say is not going to change anything. I did find out that my journey was not, it didn't make the final cut for the book. And I'm on her Substack though. And Tara and I talked about it. And of course I told her, like, it's okay. She was like so heartbroken because, they had to cut it down a little bit. So I was one of the ones that got cut. But I said that doesn't mean anything because I still had that conversation, like the intention in God placing her in my path to be able to articulate what I was feeling at that particular point was so critical for me because I needed to say it out loud in order for it to stick. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Sometimes I feel like you have to say things out loud to other people so that it'll stick, so that you'll follow through, because I was just so fired up, and that conversation just gave me the intentionality to know that I should move forward. So it was a powerful conversation. And so I'm going to make sure I link her Substack in the show notes if you'd ever like to check out the story, or I think I do. I have it linked on my social channels as well, because I still, of course, want to celebrate. I'm that type of girl. It's not really about recognition for me. It's about elevation, because I think that it is very important for us as women to have resources and conversations and stories from other women. We're not talking enough. And I'm recognizing that in so many ways. And if I think about it, that kind of even is teeing up a little bit about this episode, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But I just wanted to make sure I put that out there because I believe in being integral. And I wanted y'all to know. And then also, like I said, I'm so excited about Tara's book. I'm very excited to support it and promote it. And yes, I'm very excited about having her back. So that interview will hopefully be coming very soon. I have another one as well, another former guest who's also writing a book too. So I have a lot of people coming up. So yes, you guys have gotten used to hearing my voice for quite some time, but heads up, more voices are coming. more voices are coming. But this week it's still me. And this episode, I really am really excited to talk about. And the reason that I'm excited to talk about it is because I really didn't expect it. It kind of just happened, I'll be honest, in a very unexpected way. The unexpected way was yesterday, I took my mom to the doctor and we had to go to do some lab reviews. And, during that time, my mom and I had a very honest conversation. She actually had a really vulnerable, honest conversation with me and her doctor. And in that conversation, my mom started talking to me about how she's been feeling lately in reference to her anxiety, because she has a lot of anxiety about leaving the house and doing different things. But she's also started talking to me about the losses that she's experienced and how it's been impacting her. And I want to talk about it because in the middle of everything, just like a wellness check that they do for seniors, one of the things that she said really struck me. And it struck me in the sense that she was just kind of going through. We were working, like I said, her anxiety was really high. It was creating her blood pressure to shoot up. It was 150 over 100. She was super stressed out, and she had been stressed out since the day before because she just hates leaving the house. And so when the medical assistant was asking her the standard wellness questions, how she's feeling emotionally and everything, one of the things she said is, I feel like I'm in a place of waiting. And when she said that, we all kind of got quiet. And I was waiting. And she's like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a place of waiting. I'm in a place of waiting to transition. I'm in a place of waiting to die. And I don't know about y'all, if you've ever had those conversations with, your parents or someone that you love who is going through. But it's one of those moments where it's what's coming, but it's amazing how it just comes back up to remind you. And so I wanted to take this episode to talk about it because I think it's very important to talk about some of these stories so that I can kind of help maybe share some of my journey with someone else who I know is going through the same things that I have as someone who is a caregiver. Just kind of a little background, just in case anyone is new listening to this and you've never heard me talk about the fact that I'm a caregiver. Yes, I'm a caregiver. My mom has been living with me for the past almost 16 years. My father passed away in 2010. And when my father passed away, I instantly moved her here. My sister had been living with me before. And so we have been on a journey of caregiving. And my mom is blind, as well as she also has stage 4 kidney disease and diabetes. So it has definitely been a journey health-wise. I have to admit, though, just so I can go ahead and make full context, she's doing really good. We have her diabetes controlled now. Her kidney disease is stable. Everything has just been moving along very well. So physically, she's in a good place. But what we've noticed is that mentally she's been struggling. And it has been something that has been occurring since my brother passed away about 2 years ago now. And unfortunately, it got magnified by the loss of my godmother, Vernice, recently. And it has definitely taken a toll on her. And the reason I'm bringing it up is just because, one, I want to use that moment to spotlight how the impacts of losses really can settle with us physically a lot more than people tend to talk about or let on. And it is very important that we really recognize that grief manifests itself in so many different ways. And so physically, we've noticed a decline. Her voice has gotten weaker, her energy, her fears have gotten higher. Her anxiety is really high. Luckily, she's not at a point where she needs medication, but it is something that we are talking about with her doctors because her anxiety level just raises so easily. She's constantly on edge. And it is, especially if we are changing the dynamic. Luckily, we live in a very structured way. But when we change our dynamic, i.e. going to get lab work, i.e. going to visit doctors, that creates a whole different cycle. And I'm sure for anyone who is caring for the elderly, you understand what I'm talking about. It is just, everyone likes to fall into a routine. It's very interesting. It's kind of like kids, children like a routine, so do senior citizens. And so when the routine kind of goes away, boy, I tell you, the stress comes up. And so she was stressed out and she was hurt and she was frustrated. And so blood pressure was high. She's all stressed out, making sure masks are in place, everything. And so it was a lot. And when we were sitting down and talking with her, like I said, it was really surprising that she was so open. But it wound up being a conversation that she needed to have. And I think that it's very important for her to have it, but I just was so surprised about it because she is not normally that person. My mom was not the most emotional person growing up. For me, that was always a struggle in our relationship. I tended to be more of a daddy's girl because my father fed more into my emotional capacity versus my mom. But my mom, as we have gotten older and as she has gotten older and gotten more reflective over how her life has gone, she's very honest about admitting that the way that she was raised was not conducive to being such a lovey-dovey kind of parent. It wasn't that she was raised in a way that she didn't think that she was loved, but she was raised in a situation where her parents didn't have the same capacity to easily say, I love you, not the way that we say it now. I mean, and I think that that's reflective of many people of that generation. It just was not how they were raised. They were raised by, I show you I love you by making sure you have food on the table, making sure you have clothes on your back and a roof over your head. It was more practical versus emotional. And so for us, it's a little bit different because we are more emotional people. And so growing up, it was always a challenge. It was always something of a push and pull. My mother and I, if I think about it, we butted heads quite a lot as I was growing up and even until I became as adulting, like even in college, I still remember times when I was like, I don't want to go home because I don't want to deal with my mom. My mom's not going to understand, or I just would keep things from them because I just didn't feel like she understood. But I didn't understand back then that it was not that she didn't love me because I knew she loved me. It was just her expression of love was different. And so I'm bringing that up because I want to explain how it is very easy for that generation, especially as they age, to struggle. And especially in times like this, because for my mom, it was a matter of saying, she's like, I've lived this life and I have seen my parents pass away. I've seen siblings pass away. I've seen my husband pass away. I've seen my son pass away. And now I've seen my best friends pass away because my mom didn't have a lot of friends. Her really best friends, her tight girls, the golden girls, the cliques, unfortunately, they're all gone now. And if I think about it, like she was talking to me about it yesterday, she's like, I'm in the waiting now. And she's like, sometimes I don't feel like there's anything left here for me. And I was like, oh, hold up, you got 2 kids, obviously us. And she's like, of course, I know that you guys are here, but you're adults, you have lives, you have things that you need to accomplish. And I don't want to hold you back. And that's another thing. I'm going to pivot right there because I think a lot of times we don't give credit or understanding to the fact that many seniors that we are taking care of feel like they know that they're a burden. And they feel like they're a burden. And I think a lot of people don't like to say it like that because, of course, you always want to say, oh, no, mom's not a burden. She's not a burden. My mom's not a burden. But she understands that her existence has changed the course of my life. It's changed the course of my sister's life and how we move. And it's not negative because if I were to really look at the summation of the time and energy and growth and trauma and stress and pain and everything that I have gone through, one of the greatest things that I have ever done is be in this position to take care of my mother and my sister because this position, this life, this situation changed me for the better. It gave me a woman's heart. It gave me a stronger heart. It pulled me closer to God. Like I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't had these moments. And that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm saying that because I want to highlight the fact that a lot of the seniors, the people that we wind up having to take care of, they feel like they're a burden. And they carry that with them and they try not to be a burden, but and when they do that, it can manifest in ways where they're not truly being honest about how they feel. And I think for my mom, that's where it was manifesting, because she wasn't able to clearly articulate her struggles. She would cry a little here and there, but she's not allowing herself the space to be able to be fully vulnerable. And if I think about that, we have to ask ourselves, especially for those of us that are in the situations where we are caring for people, how often are we having those conversations to check in with them about how they're feeling emotionally, not necessarily just physically. I know for myself, I talk to my mom a lot about how she feels physically. I talk to her about it every day. But emotionally, I have to admit I don't, because it's always one of those things where she tries to brush aside. Sometimes I can catch her where she's more open and apt to talk about it, but a lot of times she wants to brush it aside. But yesterday she learned that you can't brush your mental health aside, because your mental health is affecting you physically. And she said when the doctor was sitting there and asking her questions about how she was feeling mentally and how it was impacting her physically, it was like it hit her, like the correlation hit her. She, for the first time, she recognized, like, oh my God, like this is true. And she did. She started crying, and she started saying, I'm in the waiting. I'm in a season of waiting. I'm waiting to transition because I feel like my time is done. My assignment is done. And for me, that was a moment of, I didn't get emotional about it. I got reflective, because I said, you know what? It's not that she's giving up. This is her season where she's identified that maybe everything and everyone that she has seen, that she is settling into that space where she feels at peace, where she feels ready. And I don't think a lot of us who are in that space as caregivers and supporters of people, we don't really talk about that. I've never really talked about it. Like, my mom and I have some different conversations together than we'll have with my sister, where she'll tell me, I'm not going to be here very long. I'm not. My time is coming. I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure many of us who have lived with seniors or taken care of seniors or someone who is sick and transitioning, they will tell you, because I think people know. It's like you start to get a resolve. And in those moments, a lot of times, our emotions just naturally are like, oh no, trying to quell that. Don't think like that. Let's not talk about that right now. But I have to admit, seeing how my mom was so able to, in that moment, finally articulate her feelings, finally release some of that pain. In that moment, I recognized that, who am I to be selfish with what she wants? If this is the path that she knows that we're going to go down, because at some point we're going to go down there. I have to be honest, she's 78. She's not going to be here forever. I have to acknowledge that. I have to find peace in that. I have to remember that I still have time with her now, and that these moments of vulnerability, these moments of transparency, these are moments that are going to create memories that are going to sit in my spirit when things get hard. And these are the things that I need to remember. This is the ultimate act of strength and peace. And so I wanted to talk about this because I want to encourage you to think about, when is the last time you've had a conversation with someone that you love, be it elderly, someone who may be transitioning, who's ill, sick, and had a conversation about how are they feeling emotionally? Because we have to think about the fact that a lot of times, especially as we get older, you've seen so much loss, a lot of life, but so much loss. And how are those losses affecting you? Like, I think about it when my father passed away. We were devastated as a family. That was her best friend. And she would talk to me about how it felt to lose her best friend. And then when her other best friend, Sheila, passed away, and that was same situation. When my brother passed away, when my aunt passed away, like, it was losing. You see all of these things. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Nobody prepares you for the loss of life. These aren't the things that we talk about, because if I think about it at the age that I am now, my mom had already buried her parents, and even as a child, she watched the burial, the death of her siblings. But when you lose your parents, that's obviously your connection point, And so I saw those shifts and changes, and you never are the same as people go. And then to be in the situation where you lose your husband and you have to, like I said, you start to see the weight start to come because they come, you pull back and you heal, but you're never the same because every loss takes a little bit out of you. And so now that she's 78 and looking at these losses now is so different. And like she said, she's like, I'm alone. It's not that she's alone, but in her mind, she's alone. And so what else is there left for me to do in my assignment? I've raised my daughters. They're doing well. Is my assignment done? And if so, I'm ready. And I thank God for the ability to have this connection, this time with her, to be part and to understand. But it's not easy. And we have to address those things. It's not easy. And I have to admit, it probably is going to sound weird. It's such a peaceful, it's not easy, but it's still a peaceful thing. And I know that probably sounds crazy, but I'm saying this truly out of a place of emotion. It's not easy, but it's a peaceful thing, because the one thing that I told her yesterday when she was telling me that she's, waiting, and in the waiting, I told her, okay, just do it on your terms. Well, that's it. I thought about everything else I could have said, like, oh no, Mom, don't talk like that. I could have dismissed her feelings. I could have tried to encourage her to fight, because that's always been what it's been. But in this moment, after hearing her pour her heart out and to explain how she feels, the first thing that came over me was, I understand. Okay, that's so right. Just do it on your terms, whatever that looks like. Because the doctor was like, well, obviously, like I said, they offered medication, offered therapy, which is one of the first things that first time I had ever seen that. Normally, doctors are very much about trying to push the anxiety meds and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that for all doctors, but a majority that I've encountered want to do some type of medication. And when she offered medication to my mom, which she did, my mom instantly was like, no, I'm 78 and I don't want to take anything new. I don't want that path to be my path. And then we talked about therapy, and I was like, wow, I've talked to my mom about it before, but she's always been no. And she told the doctor no as well, that she would rather rely on the power of prayer. And there is nothing wrong with that. If that is what she said has gotten her through the other losses, and that is what she's doing to lean into this, which totally makes sense. But I knew in those moments, it wasn't about what we felt. It wasn't about us. It was about us honoring the place of waiting. It was about us recognizing that in this waiting season, God is doing what he always does. He's giving us a season of preparation. He's giving us an opportunity to create memories and moments and have any conversations that need to be had, to say the things that need to be said, to learn the things that need to be learned, so that it will be well. It will be well in her spirit. It will be well in ours. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very thankful that God is giving me that opportunity. And so I wanted, like I said, to share it because I want you to have those opportunities. I want you to have conversations. I want you to go and talk to your family, your elders, and talk to them and ask them how they're feeling, and be open. Don't put yourself in their place. Just listen and be open, and make lots of memories. Like for afterwards, my mom and I kind of continued the conversation when we were out. We had to go and pick up dinner, and we had to go pick up my sister. So she got a chance to kind of see what my routine is like. And she was amazed. Because my mom literally, like I said, tries not to leave the house ever. And so she was out later than she really wanted to be. And she was like, y'all have to do all this. I said, absolutely. And she was like, oh my God, I couldn't do all this because, honey, we had to run around. And Orlando is wide and big, and you got to do a lot of driving. So she was like, this is a lot of outside. Like, I think we've hit our outside quota for the rest of 2025. But during that time, it was good to kind of continue to hear her voice and her thoughts and how good she felt having that release. And she said it. She was like, I feel good. She slept good. Actually, I was talking to her this morning. She said, I slept good too, because she needed it. She was like, I didn't realize how much I needed to speak it. I didn't realize how much I needed to cry. I didn't realize how much I needed you to understand where I'm coming from and where I'm at. And I said, I really appreciate you even giving me your vulnerability like that. And it's not about how me or Tracy feel like trying to, make you do something that you don't want to do, or make you feel that you have to try to hang on for us. That's not what it's about. Like, this is your life. And God is with you. I know He's with you. He's with us. And this is a prime example of that. So let's just surrender and enjoy the moments. And so I want to encourage you today to surrender and enjoy the moments. The people that we love are not going to be here forever. And so we have to be able to create space for honest, true conversations, because in that honesty, there is clarity. And in that clarity, there is healing. And yes, grief is very challenging, but grief doesn't exist just for the loss, doesn't exist for the death. There can be grieving in life. And how are we allowing that to exist? How are we nurturing it? How are we supporting it? How are we moving through it? And I think we have to ask those questions of ourselves and the people that we love. So I hope that I'm giving you some space to think about that. I hope I'm encouraging you to want to have some conversations this week with someone that you love. Because I think one thing that I want you to remember is that, grief and love coexist all at the same time. And grief can manifest in so many different ways. So I hope that you will, allow yourself to be open, and also to understand that if you are faced with the same thing that I was faced with, a conversation where your mother or your loved one tells you that they're waiting, just understand that in waiting, it is peaceful, that it is not fear, that it is strength. It is surrender. It is understanding that you are strengthened. It is keeping a space together that is going to sustain you. Value the time. Time isn't promised to anyone, but we can make good use of it, create memories. Remember, like I mentioned, it's all about having abundance in your spirit and your soul. So I'm very hopeful that you will create space where you can allow those abundant moments to take place in your spirit and your soul. So that's kind of like our conversation about it so far. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't. I'm just being honest. Like, it's something I guess I'm going to take day by day. And I think that's for all of us. That's all we can do. But I hope that you will, like I said, take a moment, have a conversation this week, encourage yourself, encourage someone that you know who is going through this season, to have those conversations and to be able to be open and to listen intently, and to understand that there is so much still left to do in the waiting. So I want to thank you guys for hearing my story. It's a little different for me to share so much of this. My mom doesn't like to be on the pod. I've actually talked to her, about like coming on, like, cause I would like to interview her so that I have this moment, and she's just not interested. Like, she'd be like, no, I'm gonna still try though, because I feel like it'd be good for history. And my mom has such an amazing story. I think we could really talk about it. I'm very blessed, as I have said, to come from a very strong line of Black women, like just amazing Black women. Resilience runs through my blood, and I'm very grateful for that. And so I hope one day I can, but if not, I at least had a moment or moments that have been created in the waiting that are sustaining me and keeping and creating abundance in my spirit and my soul. And so thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of it with you. And I pray that you will have those same moments and create that same level of abundance in the waiting waiting for you too. So that is this week's episode. I do want to put a quick PSA out here. I will not be recording next week. I was going to say I probably won't, but I will not be recording next week. I am actually going to my college alma mater. I graduated from Florida A&M University. It's homecoming and I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to be out in the streets just a little bit. But you probably will see some of that maybe on social media. So I will be back the week after next and I'm very excited to be back with you. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I want to support and encourage you on the journey. I'm real serious about this because these conversations are not going to stop, baby. Adulting is hard. It's ghetto, but life is lifing and we need to be able to support each other. So just know that I'm always open and receptive. I'm very good conversations, email, whatever you need. Just reach out. Don't forget to hit me up at hello@thewelldonelife.com or thewelldonelife@gmail.com. All my information will be in the show notes, and I hope that you will have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Take care of yourselves and each other. Hug someone that you love and have a great one. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.